Alien fury erupts. Caging human children brings dire consequences. The small town of Clearview had always been quiet. People knew each other by name, and life moved slowly. On Main Street, families walked together. Children played in yards, and neighbors shared small talk over white picket fences. Jack Miller had lived in Clearview all his life. He was a strong man with broad shoulders and calm eyes. He worked as a mechanic in his garage, fixing cars and trucks for the townspeople. His wife, Megan, worked at the local clinic as a nurse. They had 2 children, Ethan, 10, and Lily, 7. Their life was simple but happy. On a warm spring afternoon, the town seemed ordinary. Birds sang from the trees and the wind moved softly across the fields. Ethan and Lily played in the yard with their friends, tossing a ball back and forth. Across the street, Carlos Diaz and his sister Olivia watched their niece and nephew play. Carlos was a schoolteacher, quiet and careful, while Olivia worked at the library. Everyone felt safe. No one expected anything to change that day. Suddenly, the sky darkened. People looked up, shading their eyes. At first, they thought it was a storm. But there were no clouds, no wind, no rain. A strange silver shimmer spread across the sky. It was smooth and moving, almost like a living sheet of metal. Then the townspeople saw them, ships, enormous and unlike anything they had ever seen, floating silently above Clearview. They did not roar or fire weapons. They just hovered, massive and alien. Jack stopped in the middle of the street, squinting at the sky. "What is that?" he whispered. Megan grabbed his arm, her heart racing. Children screamed and ran to their parents. Cars stopped and people gawked. Cameras and phones came out as everyone tried to capture the impossible sight. Ethan and Lily stood frozen, staring at the glowing ships above. Their friends huddled close, trembling. The air felt heavy, almost electric, as if the world itself held its breath. Then, beams of light shot down from the ships. They were thin, steady, and glowing with blue energy. People tried to run, but the beams moved fast. Within moments, children across the town vanished. Ethan and Lily were gone, lifted from the yard as if the ground itself had disappeared beneath them. Carlos and Olivia screamed, reaching for their niece and nephew, but their hands only brushed air. Parents cried and shouted, but there was no time to fight. The beams lifted more children from schools, parks, and homes. The town was filled with panic. No one understood what was happening. Jack fell to his knees, calling out his children's names. Megan clutched his arm, sobbing. "Ethan! Lily?" she cried. But they were gone. The beams of light retracted back into the ships, and the vessels slowly rose higher into the sky. They moved silently, leaving the town in stunned, terrified silence. Streets were empty, save for crying parents and confused neighbors. The quiet of Clearview was gone forever. News of the disappearances spread quickly. Television and online news channels broadcast images from other towns. Cities across the country reported the same thing. Alien ships had arrived and children were missing. No one knew why. Governments were shocked and unprepared. Military leaders scrambled, but no weapons fired. The aliens did not attack buildings, people, or vehicles. They only took the children. Panic and anger filled the air. Parents were terrified but also furious. In a small, secure room in Washington, D.C., a team of government scientists and military analysts studied the aliens' movements. Ryan Brooks, a young defense analyst, watched monitors filled with alien images. He turned to Dr. Claire Bennett, a scientist who specialized in interstellar biology. "They are not attacking for war," he said, pointing at the screens. "They only want the children." Claire frowned. "Why children?" she asked. "Why not adults? Why not take the whole town?" Ryan shook his head.
"We don't know yet, but this is serious.
We need answers fast." Meanwhile, in Clearview, people were struggling to cope with what had happened. Jack refused to sit and wait for answers. He had trained as a Marine in his youth, and he knew fear alone would not save his children. "We have to do something," he said to Megan, his voice shaking but determined. Megan nodded, wiping tears from her eyes. "We can't just wait," she said. "We need to find them." Jack made a plan. He would not go alone. He reached out to Carlos and Olivia. They too had lost children. Together they began to organize families and neighbors, trying to understand what the aliens wanted and how to get their children back. Inside the alien ships, Ethan and Lily were terrified. They floated inside glowing cages of energy, unable to touch each other or the other children. The cages pulsed with light and warmth, keeping them contained but unharmed. They could see each other, but the energy walls prevented any contact. Other children cried or called for their parents. Ethan tried to comfort Lily. "It's okay," he whispered, even though his own heart was pounding. "We will get out of here." Lily held his hand as best she could, pressing her palm against the glowing wall. It felt cold and strange. "I miss Mom and Dad," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "Me too, but we have to be brave." The aliens observed silently. They were tall, thin creatures with pale skin and large eyes. They communicated in sounds and gestures that humans could not understand. Occasionally, they projected images and words in broken English. "Children are being studied for survival. Human species is violent. Study will protect future," one message said. To the aliens, this was a scientific procedure. They did not understand fear, grief, or love. To them, taking the children was a necessary action. To the humans, it was an unbearable crime. Back on Earth, Ryan and Claire continued to analyze the alien ships. They discovered that the ships had weak points, small gaps in their energy fields and shields. "They are heavily protected," Claire explained. "But they underestimate human unpredictability." Ryan nodded. "We can use that," he said. "If we can get close enough, maybe we can rescue some of the children." But the military was hesitant. They had never faced an enemy like this. Rockets and planes seemed useless against the glowing, hovering vessels. People began to realize that this was not a normal invasion. This was something different, something calculated and dangerous. Jack, Carlos, and other parents refused to wait. Farmers, former soldiers, truck drivers, and teachers came together. They shared knowledge, tools, and weapons. Jack trained the volunteers in simple strategies, teaching them how to stay hidden, move quietly, and work together. Carlos helped with communication and logistics. Families turned their grief into determination. Fear became fuel. If the aliens thought humans would panic and surrender, they were wrong. The humans were organizing. Inside the ships, the children began to learn from each other. Ethan watched how the alien cages reacted when they moved or touched the walls. Lily tried small experiments too, pressing on switches and glowing panels. They discovered that even small actions could disrupt the cages slightly. Other children joined in, sharing observations and helping each other. Their cooperation confused the aliens. "Why do they work together?" one alien asked another in its strange language. The creatures had never seen a species fight with both emotion and intelligence. They did not understand it yet. Back on Earth, news reports showed other towns trying to resist. In some cities, small alien scout ships were shot down, and humans recovered pieces of technology. Ryan studied these fragments. "We might be able to use this against them," he said. Claire nodded. "But we need a plan. We cannot just rush in blindly." Jack listened to the updates, growing more determined. "We don't have time," he said. "Every second counts for our children." The others agreed. They began planning coordinated actions, small groups working together to strike when the opportunity came. In the middle of the night, Clearview was quiet again. But the townspeople were awake, watching the sky for any sign of the ships. Families huddled together, children asleep in arms, parents restless. Jack could not sleep. He walked through the empty streets, remembering the laughter of his children just hours before. He clenched his fists. He would not let the aliens take his family without a fight. Megan joined him. She placed her hand on his shoulder. "We have to be strong," she said. Jack nodded. "We will be. We have no choice." Together they stood under the moonlight, looking at the stars, knowing that their children were far away, inside alien cages, and that nothing would ever be the same again. The world had changed in a single afternoon. What had begun as a quiet, ordinary day had turned into a nightmare. But in that fear, humans found something new: determination. The aliens thought they were collecting children to study them. They did not realize that by doing so, they had awakened the fiercest force in the galaxy, the protective fury of parents.
And that fury was only beginning. In homes across the nation, similar stories unfolded.
Parents refusing to give up, teachers coordinating rescue efforts, friends and neighbors turning grief into action. Everywhere, the same thought ran through their minds: humanity does not abandon its children. Humanity fights. The aliens had made a grave mistake, one they had not understood. They believed the children would remain passive and fearful. They were wrong. Every human parent, teacher, and friend now shared the same resolve: to bring the children back, no matter the cost. As the night deepened, the alien ships hovered above cities and towns, silent and watchful. Inside, human children waited, confused, scared, but beginning to understand that they were not alone. Outside, humans planned, studied, and prepared. A storm was building, not in the sky, but on the ground. And when it came, it would not be gentle. The humans of Earth were about to show the aliens that love, courage, and determination could not be measured or contained. That day, the children were taken, but the humans were awakening. And that awakening would change everything. After the children were taken, the towns and cities of America were in shock. Parents, teachers, and neighbors could not stop thinking about their missing children. Every news report, every online post, every television broadcast reminded them that the aliens had taken their young. But fear began to turn into action. People were no longer waiting for help from governments. They were organizing themselves, planning and preparing to fight back. Jack Miller was one of the first to act. He gathered a small group of volunteers in his garage. Former soldiers, truck drivers, farmers, and ordinary workers joined him. They were not trained as an army, but they knew how to work together. "We have to think carefully," Jack told them. "We can't just run at them. These ships are strong, but every ship has weaknesses. We just need to find them." Megan, standing beside him, nodded. She had spent years as a nurse helping people in emergencies, and she knew how to stay calm in chaos. She helped organize supplies and make plans for communication among the volunteers. Crosstown, Carlos Diaz and his sister Olivia were doing the same. Carlos had been a school teacher for many years. He understood the power of teamwork and patience. He began gathering parents and teachers, making lists of the missing children and checking where they had been taken. Olivia helped by contacting families and keeping everyone informed. Together, they became the local coordinators of a larger effort. Meanwhile, in Washington, Ryan Brooks and Dr. Claire Bennett were studying the alien ships. Ryan had collected footage from Clearview and other towns, showing the alien technology and their strange energy fields. "These shields are advanced," Ryan said, pointing at the monitor.
But they are not perfect. Look here.
"See the small gaps?" Claire leaned closer. "Yes. The gaps are tiny, but they are there. If someone could get close enough, they might be able to disrupt the cages or the control systems." The aliens had not expected humans to fight back so quickly. They had assumed that fear and confusion would keep humans passive. They were wrong. Humans were unpredictable, emotional, and clever. While the aliens were focused on studying the children inside the cages, humans were watching, learning, and preparing. In Clearview, Jack trained his group every day. They practiced moving quietly, observing without being seen, and using tools in creative ways. They tested small devices they had recovered from downed alien scout ships, trying to understand how they worked. Jack emphasized teamwork and patience. "If we rush in without a plan, we will fail," he told the group. "But if we are smart and careful, we can do what the military cannot. We can save our children." Ethan and Lily, inside the alien ship, began to notice the small patterns in the cages. The energy barriers pulsed and flickered at regular intervals. The children experimented, pressing against walls, touching panels, and moving together. Even small changes in their positions caused the cages to weaken slightly. The aliens observed, confused. "Why are they trying to interfere?" one alien asked. The creatures had never seen a species use fear to create strategy. They could not understand human courage or the way humans acted out of love. As the days passed, the aliens became more careful. They increased surveillance inside the cages and strengthened some of the energy fields. But the humans outside had also improved their methods. Jack's group had started mapping alien patterns, noting when ships hovered in certain positions and when energy beams moved. They shared this information with other groups forming across the country. Teachers, parents, and former soldiers were working together. The children inside the ships did not know this yet, but they were helping too. Their small actions were teaching the aliens that humans could not be controlled easily. One evening, Ryan and Claire made an important discovery. By analyzing the fragments recovered from a small alien scout ship, they realized that the alien control systems relied on a central network located on the command ship orbiting Earth. "If we can reach that ship," Ryan said, "we can disrupt the energy cages on all the smaller vessels." Claire nodded. "But the command ship is heavily protected. We need a way to get close without being destroyed." They began studying the alien signals and shields, looking for patterns, weaknesses, and ways to exploit them. Jack heard about the discovery and knew it was the chance they had been waiting for. He called a meeting with the volunteer group, including Carlos, Olivia, and others who had joined from nearby towns. "This is our opportunity," Jack said. "We have to be careful, but we can make it happen. We can get our children back." The group discussed plans for small, coordinated strikes on the alien vessels, using the technology they had recovered and the knowledge from Ryan and Claire. At night, Jack would sit alone and think about Ethan and Lily. He remembered how they had laughed in the yard, how they had asked endless questions, and how they had held his hand when they were scared. He knew the aliens did not understand human emotions, but he did. And he knew that love could give humans the courage to face impossible odds. Megan would sit beside him, holding his hand, sharing the same determination. Together they made plans and encouraged others to act. Inside the alien ships, the children were also learning courage. Ethan began to organize the others. "We have to stay calm," he told them. "We have to watch and see what we can do. If we work together, we can help each other." Lily encouraged younger children, keeping them from panicking. They discovered that even small interactions with the panels in their cages could cause temporary glitches in the energy fields. The aliens noticed and tried to prevent it, but the human children were persistent. Their cooperation and creativity confused the aliens. The first human strike came from a small team led by Daniel Harper, a former Air Force pilot. He had joined Jack's volunteer group after learning about the abductions. Daniel's team used modified aircraft and alien technology fragments to approach a smaller ship near a rural area. Nora Evans, a young cyber specialist, hacked into alien communication frequencies, creating interference among the drones protecting the ship. The humans managed to disable several drones and get close enough to study the vessel. Back in Washington, Ryan and Claire monitored the operation. "This is risky," Claire said. "They are taking a huge chance." Ryan nodded.
"We have to take risks," he replied. "Every second counts for the children."
The first strike was partially successful. The human team could not fully disable the cages, but they learned how the alien systems responded. Every action provided new information for future missions. As the strike teams returned, Jack and Carlos shared the information with other volunteer groups. They created maps, schedules, and communication networks. They began preparing for a larger mission, one that would target the main command ship. Humans across the country were coordinating, sharing what they had learned. Fear was still there, but determination was stronger. Inside the alien ships, Ethan and Lily noticed the effects of the human strikes. Panels flickered, lights dimmed briefly, and the cages pulsed strangely. "Something is happening," Ethan said. "The humans are trying to help us." Lily pressed her hand against the energy wall. "We have to be ready," she said. "We have to help too." The children experimented more, learning how to push buttons, move objects, and create small disruptions. They were learning teamwork and courage under pressure. The aliens, observing all of this, became more cautious. They reinforced some systems, but they could not fully predict human creativity. They had studied many species in the galaxy, but none had reacted with this combination of emotion, intelligence, and persistence. The aliens began to worry, though they did not fully understand why. Back on Earth, Jack's volunteer group continued training. They drilled every day, practicing strategies and sharing new ideas. Parents who had lost children joined to fight, not just out of revenge, but out of love. They shared stories, encouragement, and hope. The towns, once quiet and ordinary, were now alive with planning and preparation. Communities were stronger because of the shared purpose. Ryan and Claire worked day and night to improve their understanding of the alien technology. Claire discovered that small pulses of energy at certain frequencies could interfere with alien shields temporarily. Ryan found patterns in the alien movement, predicting when ships would hover, move, or send beams. They shared this information with Jack and the other volunteers, giving them an advantage in planning strikes and rescues. Jack, Carlos, Daniel, Megan, and others began to prepare for a coordinated effort. They knew the risks. The aliens were strong, smart, and patient. But the humans had something the aliens did not understand: determination born of love. Every parent, teacher, and friend was willing to risk everything for the children. Every human who had seen a child taken knew that fear was not enough to stop them. The first signs of hope came when a small energy cage flickered and glitched inside one of the alien ships. Ethan noticed it and pushed harder on the control panel. Another child pressed at the same time. The cage pulsed and wavered. "It's working!" Ethan shouted. The aliens rushed to stabilize the system, but the children's actions had already caused a small victory. It was a sign that humans, both children and adults, could influence the situation. Jack received the news from a field communicator. He clenched his fists and smiled for the first time in days. "They're fighting back," he said. "Our children are helping themselves. We have to get ready for the next step." Megan put a hand on his shoulder. "We will," she said. "We have no choice but to win." The days turned into weeks. Human teams struck smaller ships, learned from each attempt, and coordinated plans for larger missions. The children inside the alien vessels continued to learn, experiment, and support one another. Fear was still present, but it no longer ruled them. Courage, hope, and love were stronger. The world had changed. The aliens had thought they were studying humans, but humans were learning too. They were preparing to fight, to rescue, and to protect their children. Clearview and other towns were no longer quiet. They were alive with purpose, planning missions that would challenge the alien invaders. And somewhere in the glowing cages of the alien ships, Ethan and Lily looked at each other and held their hands as best they could. They were scared, yes, but they were not helpless. The humans outside were fighting for them, and they were beginning to fight too. The first real battle had begun. The humans had learned much from their smaller strikes, and now the time had come for a bold mission. Jack Miller, Daniel Harper, Carlos Diaz, and several other volunteers were preparing for the most dangerous task yet, boarding the alien command ship in orbit above Earth. The ship was enormous, its hull shining silver against the blackness of space. Inside, it controlled the energy cages that held children across the planet. Every second mattered. Every delay could endanger the children further. Jack and Daniel gathered the team in a quiet hangar where they had retrofitted old planes and spacecraft with alien technology recovered from the smaller ships. Nora Evans, the cyber specialist, had been working day and night to hack alien systems and create interference signals. "We can disrupt their shields for a short time," she explained, "but only a few minutes. That's when you have to get inside." Jack nodded. "We'll be ready. Every second counts." Megan, although worried, helped pack supplies and equipment for the mission. She kissed Ethan and Lily's photos on her phone and whispered, "We'll get you back." The planes were small but fast, designed to avoid detection until the last moment. Daniel, a former pilot, would lead the flight. Jack and Carlos would board first. Volunteers with weapons and hacking tools followed. Everyone was nervous, but fear had been replaced with determination. The children were waiting, and the humans could not fail. As the planes approached the alien command ship, it loomed larger than any building on Earth. Its surface was smooth, reflecting the sun like polished metal. The ship's drones swarmed around it, scanning the space. Nora activated the interference system. Small pulses disrupted the drone's communication. They moved erratically, giving the humans a brief opening. Daniel pulled the throttle, and the planes shot forward, weaving through the drones with careful precision. Inside the command ship, Ethan and Lily were growing restless. The cages pulsed and glowed, humming with energy. "Something is happening," Ethan whispered. "I feel it." Lily pressed her hand on the wall. "Maybe the humans are here," she said. Other children looked up, hopeful. For days, they had been waiting, learning small ways to interfere with the alien technology. They had discovered that pushing panels, pressing buttons, and moving in certain patterns could create small glitches in the cages. Now, with the humans approaching, their efforts seemed to matter more than ever. The planes landed on a flat section of the command ship. The team exited carefully, using grappling hooks and magnetic boots to move along the metallic surface. The aliens had not expected humans to reach this close. Their drones attacked, but Nora's interference signals created confusion, allowing the humans to avoid many attacks. Jack led the first group toward the entrance of the ship. Every step was tense. One mistake could end their mission and the children's lives. Inside the ship, the corridors were cold and smooth, filled with strange lighting that pulsed in rhythm with the energy cages. The aliens had reinforced the hallways with barriers, but Jack and Carlos used tools to bypass them. Daniel followed, leading the second group toward the cage control rooms. The humans moved quickly, but cautiously, knowing the aliens were monitoring every move. Meanwhile, in the cages, the children sensed the change. Ethan pressed panels in sequence while Lily encouraged the younger kids to do the same. The cages flickered and pulsed strangely. Lights dimmed, and for a moment, the barriers weakened. The aliens reacted, rushing to stabilize the systems, but the children continued their small, coordinated actions. It was a delicate battle of control. Jack reached the main control chamber. He saw dozens of cages glowing with energy, each containing frightened children. His heart pounded.
"Ethan! Lily!" he shouted.
His voice echoed through the corridor, and the children turned toward him. They could not reach each other because of the barriers, but they knew their father was near. Jack's presence gave them hope. "We're getting you out," he promised. Carlos joined him at the control panel. Using tools from the smaller ships, he worked to disrupt the main energy system. Sparks flew as wires and panels reacted to his efforts. Jack kept watch, holding off approaching aliens with a small weapon. The aliens were tall, thin, and fast, but they were not used to humans fighting with both strategy and emotion. They hesitated, unsure how to respond to the humans' combination of courage and cleverness. Ethan and Lily continued pressing panels and pushing buttons. The cages flickered more, some of them destabilizing entirely. Small cracks of energy appeared in the barriers. "Keep go!" Ethan shouted to the others. The children worked together, their small hands moving in unison, learning the timing of the flickers and glitches. Every action counted. Every small success brought them closer to freedom. Daniel's team faced their own struggle in another part of the ship. They had reached a secondary control room that monitored energy flows to other cages. Nora guided them from Earth through a secure communication line. "Now," she shouted. "Hit the left panel first, then the right. Don't stop." The team followed her instructions precisely. The alien drones reacted violently, firing beams of light that narrowly missed the humans. But the energy pulses from the panels caused disruptions across the ship. The cages in multiple rooms flickered and pulsed, weakening the aliens' control. Back in the main chamber, Jack and Carlos finally reached the core control node.
"This is it," Jack said, gripping the tools. "We take this down and the cages collapse."
Carlos nodded. They worked quickly, cutting wires and pressing emergency overrides. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the hum of energy shifted violently. The cages began to shimmer and pulse unpredictably. Children screamed and laughed at the same time, feeling the walls weaken. Ethan and Lily pressed together on the final panel in their section. The barrier cracked and wavered. With a final coordinated effort, the cage collapsed completely. Lily ran to Ethan, hugging him tightly for the first time since the abduction. Around them, other children rushed out of their cages as barriers collapsed. Chaos filled the ship. Aliens ran in confusion, trying to stabilize systems, but the humans were everywhere, moving faster, smarter, and more determined. Jack and Carlos cheered as they freed the children. They grabbed the smaller kids, running toward the exit. Daniel's team secured other corridors, guiding children safely while avoiding alien patrols. Ethan and Lily helped younger children along, showing bravery that matched their parents. The children were no longer helpless. They were part of the mission, their courage and quick thinking making a difference. Outside, the human planes were waiting. The rescued children were loaded quickly. One group at a time, Nora's interference signals continued to confuse the alien drones, giving the humans more time. Jack carried Lily in his arms, holding her close, while Ethan ran beside him with another group of children. Megan waited at the landing site, tears streaming down her face as she hugged each child. "You're safe," she shouted.
You're finally safe!
The alien command ship was in chaos. Their systems had been disrupted, their cages destroyed, and their drones confused. They had underestimated humans completely. They had thought that taking children would make humans passive. Instead, it had united them in a way no alien species had ever experienced. Humans had fought with emotion, intelligence, and determination. The aliens could not comprehend the force they had awakened. Jack and Daniel looked back at the command ship as their planes lifted off. Sparks flew from the damaged energy panels, and alarms blared as the aliens struggled to regain control. Jack's chest heaved, but he smiled. They had done it. The children were safe. For now. But they knew the fight was not over. The aliens were still in space, and more vessels could appear. But the humans had learned their strength. They had learned that love and courage could not be measured or contained. On Earth, families reunited. Megan held Lily tightly, whispering words of comfort and relief. Ethan hugged Jack, refusing to let go. Across the planet, other parents were doing the same, reuniting with children who had been held in alien cages. News spread quickly, telling the story of human bravery, courage, and determination. Humanity had shown that they would not surrender. They had fought against an impossible enemy and won. Inside the damaged alien ship, the creatures recorded the events. They had never seen a species react like this. Fear had not stopped humans. Confusion had not stopped humans. Even the risk of death had not stopped humans from fighting for their children. The aliens realized, too late, that they had underestimated a species unlike any other. Humans fought not for conquest, not for territory, but for love. That love had made them unpredictable, dangerous, and impossible to control. Back on Earth, Jack and Daniel debriefed with Ryan and Claire. "We need to prepare for more," Ryan said. "They will not forget this. More ships may come." Jack nodded. "Then we will be ready. We know how to fight now, and we know how to protect our children." Claire smiled slightly. "You've shown the aliens something they will never forget." Ethan and Lily rested that night, exhausted but happy. They had helped in ways no one had expected. They had pressed panels, observed patterns, and acted together. They had learned that even children could make a difference. Outside, Jack and Megan sat together, holding hands, watching the stars. The alien ships were still out there, but for now their children were safe. The world had changed. Humans had faced an enemy unlike any before. They had fought with courage, intelligence, and love. And they had won, at least for now. The alien command ship had been damaged, their cages destroyed, and their confidence shaken. Humans had shown that they could not be controlled. They had shown that they would fight, no matter the odds, for the ones they loved. And somewhere in the dark of space, the aliens realized the truth. Humanity was unpredictable. Humanity was strong. Humanity could not be measured. And humanity, when pushed to protect its own, could unleash a fury unlike anything the universe had ever seen. The first battle had ended. The children were safe, but the war was only beginning. The humans had won the first battle, but the danger was far from over. Alien ships still hovered above Earth, their glowing silver hulls moving slowly through the atmosphere. Governments scrambled to assess the situation, while people across the world celebrated the return of the children. But Jack Miller, Daniel Harper, Carlos Diaz, and the other volunteers knew that the aliens had not forgotten. The war was only beginning, and humanity had to prepare for the next challenge. Jack stood in the hangar with Megan, Daniel, Carlos, and the rest of the team. Plans for the next operation were spread across tables. Maps, diagrams, and alien data filled every surface. "We have to hit them hard this time," Jack said. "The aliens will try to regroup. They will come back with more ships. We have to be ready." Megan nodded. She had helped save the children once, but she knew the next mission would be even harder. "We can do it," she said. "We have to. For our children, for everyone." Ryan, Brooks, and Dr. Claire Bennett worked tirelessly in Washington. They had learned much from the previous strike. The alien command systems were damaged but not destroyed. Claire analyzed the energy patterns, while Ryan studied the alien ship's flight routes and strategies. "They will come back," Claire said. "But we can predict their moves now." "We have an advantage," Ryan nodded. "We also know how they respond to human unpredictability. That is our strongest weapon." Across the country, humans continued to organize. Communities shared resources, built defenses, and trained volunteers. People who had never held a weapon were now prepared to fight. Teachers, farmers, engineers, and former soldiers worked together, using every skill they had. Fear still existed, but it had been replaced by determination. Humanity had learned that the aliens were not invincible, and that courage, intelligence, and love could defeat even the most advanced technology. Inside the alien ships, the creatures were struggling. The energy cages had been destroyed, and their drones were disabled in many areas. They had never faced a species that acted with such determination and unity. "Humans are different," one alien said to another. "They fight with emotion and strategy. They are unpredictable. They cannot be controlled." The aliens began reinforcing their ships, but they still did not understand the humans' most powerful weapon: their care for one another. Ethan and Lily watched from the safety of their home after the first mission. They had been reunited with their parents, but the events of the past weeks had changed them. Ethan was quieter now, thinking carefully about each action, while Lily had grown braver, helping other children understand that fear could be turned into courage. They knew the aliens were still out there, but they also knew humans would not give up. Jack called a meeting with the volunteer leaders from across the country. Daniel, Carlos, Nora, Megan, and others joined through secure communication channels. "The aliens will not stop," Jack said. "We need a plan to defend Earth and make sure this never happens again. We have the knowledge, the courage, and the children to guide us, but we have to work together. Everywhere." Daniel nodded. "We hit them where they are weakest. We keep them off balance. And we protect our children at all costs." The next attack came without warning. Alien ships moved faster this time, targeting cities with large populations. But the humans were ready. Early warning systems, trained volunteers, and interference devices gave people time to react. Jack's team coordinated with Ryan and Claire to track the ship's movements. The aliens tried to use energy beams to scare humans into submission, but it was no longer effective. Communities worked together, blocking drones, disabling small ships, and protecting children. Inside the ships, the aliens struggled to maintain control. Children across the world were alert and cooperative, following instructions from parents and rescuers. Ethan and Lily watched news reports and listened to instructions from emergency broadcasts. They knew they were safe, but they also wanted to help. They encouraged younger children, explaining what the humans were doing and how to avoid danger. The aliens could not understand the way humans worked together across great distances. Jack and Daniel led the next mission personally. This time, they were better prepared. They had studied alien patterns, learned from previous strikes, and coordinated with teams across the globe. Nora managed communications, hacking alien frequencies to create confusion. The planes were faster, equipped with alien fragments that could temporarily disable drones and shields. The humans were no longer fighting blindly. They had strategy, knowledge, and courage. As they approached the command ship, Jack's heart pounded. He thought of Ethan and Lily, and of every child still in danger. "We will get them all," he whispered. Daniel clapped him on the shoulder. "We will. Together we can do this." The planes shot forward, weaving through drones that tried to intercept them. Nora's interference pulses caused the drones to malfunction, giving the humans a brief window to enter the ship. Inside, the corridors were filled with flashing lights and humming energy. Jack and his team moved quickly, neutralizing drones and bypassing barriers. The aliens tried to respond, but they were overwhelmed. They had not expected humans to coordinate so effectively, using both technology and emotion to fight. Every corridor was a small battle, but the humans pressed forward, knowing the lives of children depended on them. The humans reached the main chamber where the remaining cages were held. The aliens tried to stabilize the systems, but Jack and Carlos worked quickly, cutting wires and pressing emergency overrides. Sparks flew, and alarms blared as energy fields collapsed. Children cheered as their cages flickered and vanished. Ethan and Lily, leading small groups of children in other parts of the ship, watched energy walls collapse and barriers disappear. The aliens panicked, running through corridors trying to fix systems that could no longer hold. Daniel's team guided children to the exit, while Jack and Carlos secured the main chamber. Every step was tense, but the humans moved with confidence and purpose. The children followed instructions carefully, helping younger ones and observing how to act during emergencies. For the first time, humans and children worked together to defeat the aliens in every section of the ship. The planes waited outside, ready to carry the rescued children back to safety. One by one, children were loaded, exhausted, but happy. Parents waited anxiously, tears of relief streaming down their faces as they hugged their children. Jack held Lily, while Ethan ran to Megan, not letting go. Across the world, similar rescues were happening. The aliens had underestimated the humans completely. They had thought fear would control the humans. Instead, it had united them in a way no alien species had ever experienced. Outside the command ship, the remaining alien vessels were confused. Their systems had been disrupted, their energy cages destroyed, and their drones disabled. They had lost control of the situation entirely. Humans had fought with strategy, courage, and love. The aliens realized their mistake too late. They had never faced a species that valued life, family, and loyalty above all else. Jack and Daniel watched the command ship from one of the planes. Sparks flew from damaged panels, and alarms echoed from inside. Jack smiled faintly, though his chest was still heavy with worry. "We've done it," he said.
We've shown them what humans are capable of.
Daniel nodded. "They will not come back the same way."
They will know that humans fight with heart, with love, and with courage. They will never take our children again.
Back on Earth, families celebrated. Children were safe, reunited with parents, teachers, and friends. Communities rebuilt, stronger than before. Humans had learned that cooperation, courage, and determination could overcome even the most advanced enemies. Ethan and Lily, sitting with their parents under a quiet evening sky, held hands and smiled. They had been part of something larger than themselves. They had helped save the children and the future of humanity. The aliens, retreating into deep space, transmitted a final message. Their language was broken, but the meaning was clear. They had misjudged humanity. They admitted that their study of human children had been a grave error. Humanity was not a passive species. Humans were strong, unpredictable, and relentless when protecting their own. The aliens would warn other civilizations. Earth's humans could not be taken lightly. Ryan and Claire, watching the retreat, exchanged glances. "They've learned something important," Claire said quietly. "They now know that humans cannot be controlled by fear or force." Ryan nodded. "And we've learned it too. We know how to protect our people, how to fight, and how to unite when it matters most." Jack, Megan, Daniel, Carlos, and the others returned to their towns as heroes, but they did not celebrate with pride. They were grateful, relieved, and cautious. The universe had changed, and humans had shown their strength. But they knew vigilance was necessary. The children had been safe for now, but humans could not assume the aliens would never return. In Clearview, Jack held Ethan and Lily tightly. "We're together," he whispered. "That's what matters." Megan joined them, tears in her eyes. "We will protect them, no matter what," she said. "We've learned we can do anything if we work together." Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. Parents, children, teachers, and neighbors celebrated their victories and honored those who had risked everything. The alien command ship drifted in orbit, damaged and defeated. It would return to its home system, carrying the memory of humanity's unexpected strength. The aliens would never forget the species that fought not for conquest, but for love. Humanity had won not through power alone, but through courage, cooperation, and heart. As the sun rose over cities and towns across Earth, people began rebuilding. Life slowly returned to normal, but everyone remembered the lessons of the past weeks. Humans were stronger, more united, and wiser. They had faced the unimaginable and prevailed. They had saved their children. They had defended their future. Ethan and Lily ran through the yard once more, playing under the warm sunlight. Jack and Megan watched, smiling. Across the nation, families laughed, cried, and hugged, grateful for the safety of their children. Humans had faced alien fury and had responded with a force no one could measure. The universe had learned a simple truth. Caging human children does not lead to study. It leads to fury. And humanity, when protecting its own, is unstoppable.